Hi, everyone. I am Gwen Callahan, the co-director of HP Lovecraft Film Festival, and I am joined by filmmakers from Shorts Block 3, which hopefully you just watched, because we may be talking about some spoilers here. If you haven't watched it already, you might want to pause this and go watch it and then come back. I am joined by the filmmakers from A King in Yellow and The Weaver. Can you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Michelle DeMoss. I'm from King in Yellow. I played the lead protagonist in the film.
Hi, my name is Roderick. I was the writer, director, editor on A King in Yellow. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Øyvind Willumsen. I'm the director of The Weaver.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here to talk with us. It's really great for us to be able to, have these conversations with you because we get your film and we see what we see, and I think maybe that's enough sometimes, but I always like to know more about the film. So I'm gonna start with Øyvind, the Weaver. Are you afraid of spiders? Is that a fear?
I'm,
Because a lot of people are afraid of spiders, and there's a lot of spiders in your movie.
yeah, I'm really afraid of spiders. That's the best part of Norway. There's not many spiders there, and they're small. Well, mostly small. We found some big one for the movie. But yeah, my biggest fears are probably spiders and witches, like old lady witches.
Mm,
So I just wanted to combine them into a cool movie.
okay. What is it about old lady witches that scares you?
I think when I was a kid, I watched Snow White, the animated movie, and just the evil witch there just traumatized me, and ever since then, yeah, I've never trusted an old lady.
Oh no, okay. Especially if she's offering you food.
Yeah, yeah.
How so your film starts off kind of a little comedic, there's the healthcare worker coming to visit, doing a checking in with the lady, and then it kind of quickly dives into just like very weird and still a little comical, and then terrifying territory. So we're, as the audience, we are on this emotional roller coaster. How did you kind of craft that? How did you like craft that journey for us?
Um, like as I said, I started with just this scary elements, and then I just started writing. And for me, like mostly I write comedy stuff. So for me, it just comes natural, like to write some kind of situation comedy. And there's a few running gags in the movie, like the everybody says that about me and stuff like that. So making it funny was the easy part for me. Trying to make it scary was more challenging. And yeah, hopefully, like I think it's even more comedic in Norway because yeah, the performances and a lot of the nuances there maybe lost when you don't speak Norwegian, but I don't know, maybe it's scarier when you don't speak Norwegian. I don't know, but yeah, I was going for both a bit scary and a bit funny.
Okay. Well, you accomplished your goal.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the end when you realize that he's not the first one. And for Americans, I think it plays a little bit of um the attitude towards older people and our attitudes towards nudity, I think, and nudity, sexuality, age all kind of play in there to
Yeah, yeah,
mix
like that's.
together to be.
I didn't plan on like having any type of message in the movie, but like as I wrote it, I just discovered that the story is in a way about like sexual liberation and men who are afraid of women who sleep around and stuff like that. Like I didn't try to say anything about that. It's like the movie itself took a life of its own, and I think it's about that, even if I didn't intend it to be.
Sure, sure. That's interesting. I'll come back to you. I have more questions, but I would like to ask Michelle, in your role as the oh gosh, I just brain farted the name of the character, but the lead role that it has lost her hearing was I'm assuming like a very accomplished violinist, and then has lost her hearing. Did you already know American Sign Language, or did you
Yeah.
learn it?
No, I actually took sign language in high school for 3 years, and so I was a little rusty on some bits, but we had an amazing person come in and help us out, which Drew, I'm sure, could talk about a bit more because he was definitely in contact with her. But she was deaf, and she helped us go through the entire script. And right when we opened up the Zoom channels, and the other actor who had no experience with sign language at all, and he did fantastic with no knowledge, having like 3 sessions of learning, and then going off the film was amazing. And so it ended up being her and I just having a conversation for like 5 minutes, and then Drew and the other actor going, wait, I have no clue what's going on. We were like, oh right, we need to like say hi to everyone else. So yeah, I learned a little bit. I could always learn more, but I very much enjoyed the ASL aspect to it.
Interesting. With performing, so you've acted in other things where you've just been speaking. How was it different for you with was it easier or harder?
A bit of both. So with ASL, there's a lot of facial expressions, and if you don't know a word, you gotta act. So it's those that were taking theater classes in high school tended to do better in American Sign Language class. We'll just say that. So I always found it really fascinating how people communicate like that, and I had to learn a lot about the culture and the community. And I have a great deep respect for everyone who was born deaf or became deaf and ends up learning this language, because it used to be really persecuted beforehand and not allowed. And now the fact that it's becoming so widely accepted and embraced in a lot of different mediums, it's wonderful. So I'm just happy that I could try and take what I learned from it and add to this character, and add some kind of background and add some emotional complexity that may not have been there if she didn't know sign language, or if her brother didn't know sign language, or if he did, and whatnot. So I'd say, sorry, this is a long-winded way of answering the question, but I'll say there's some grammar rules in sign language where you have to use your eyebrows in specific ways, and without that, the words don't mean anything, or they can be interpreted differently. So when there are certain things where it's like, oh, you got to be angry, you're like, well, but the eyebrows have to go up. You have to find out a different way to express those emotions if it's not going to work grammatically. And so it was just a fun kind of experience.
Okay, so like when your face has to be doing 2 different expressions at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you hit those marks, is it still possible to, act bad with sign language? Can people look at it like, oh, that's a bit stiff, or?
Yeah, it like, if you don't know the language, you can be like, oh, that person definitely doesn't know the language. And while I'm not completely fluent, I can have conversations. Yes, I was never born deaf, and I didn't know sign language for very long. I'm sure a deaf person will look at it and go like, oh, okay, she's doing her best. But I can look at my fellow actor who only had about 3 sessions and then had to do this entire script. He's not doing the facial expressions because we didn't get to that point for him. Whereas my character does, because I had the previous experience for that. But we also felt like it added to their characters, because my character was deaf and his was not. And he only was going as much as he needed to. Like we added a lot of headcanon for the actors. We just love to be like, oh, maybe this and that and that. And it was a lot of fun.
Nice. For my question for Drew, or a question for Drew, in the beginning, we hear the voicemail from somebody saying like, bring the record back, it's not going to work. And then there's this ritual using the vinyl records, which isn't really explained. And I kind of appreciate that you're not like, that you don't just like info dump on the audience, you kind of let them figure it out. But I'm just curious where the idea came from for doing like an audio, like a totally audio ritual for trying to retrieve someone's hearing, where when they can't hear the ritual, like is the ritual that somebody hearing has to go through it with them, or like is there any insight that you feel sharing?
Yeah, if you asked me this at different junctions in the film's production and afterward, you would probably get 7 different answers. The rationale behind what was going on in the film is changed considerably from when it was written to the cut, but what I will say is like I kind of stumbled upon the King Yellow, like those works, and I got really into the rabbit hole of the play in the King in Yellow as a mechanism for pressing a curse or madness on the people through artistic mediums. It just sounded like something cool. And something that was further interesting about that was if that could transcend the written word and it could be transcribed and spread in other ways. And so that was something I wanted to kind of explore, is like the cosmic horror element in the film. It's not explicitly explained, and I got ripped to shreds by some of my cohort for not going as overt with it. But the flipping of the record, the occult, is sort of I'm probably remembering it wrong, and people who are more familiar with Lovecraft can shoulder check me on it. But the act 1 being like really enticing, and the act 2 being like something that sort of descends everything into chaos. And so the A side, B side was kind of like a sort of alluding to that. That was like one of our copies of the work. But yeah, I don't know if the hearing element is important in it. I would say I'm going to finish the sentence soon. But it more had to do with that Michelle's character in the film had something that the King of Yellow wanted, was more receptive to it, because she couldn't hear whatever was going on in Carcosa. Which was what made Dan's character kind of have a more violent reaction. At least that's one of like the ways we kind of like headcanon it a bit. But yeah, I've had too many conversations about it. I've had to like kind of reinvent the meaning and like the physical aspects of it over and over. But yeah, that's one explanation.
Can you tell me a little bit about the King in Yellow? I was very excited when, the camera pulls out and we're like, oh, he's showing it to us, the King in Yellow itself. Can you talk a little bit about the production design of was it a puppet? Was it a doll? Like what was that?
That was a person. That was one of my friends in my cohort at San Francisco State University, Jan Votig. And he was kind enough to sit in that costume for a few hours on end and play the part. I had a wonderful costume designer who I've known for a long time contribute the robes, who was a costume designer for theater in San Francisco. The mask was made by a friend, but yeah, I was impressed with it by the end. I think we managed to make it look authentic to other depictions of it.
The tatters of the king. Yeah, okay, so that was a real person. The movements were very organic. And so I was trying to figure out, like, when we were watching it, like, is that just really awesome puppetry, or like, what is it, stop motion, like, what is happening? So I'm again surprised that it was actually a person that you dressed up, that like had to be in a whole costume. That's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I guess in the end of the film, with the like the bright light, and like, you know, sometimes we get these films, like, did you decide on that ending? Was that how it was going to always end, or did you have different ways that you thought maybe it would end?
I think I always had it in mind that something was going to go majorly wrong. By the end, I feel like Lovecraftian horror has a trope of major catastrophe by the end, like a sort of like that monkey's paw kind of deal that is made for Helena in the film to regain her hearing. And so yeah, the guy on the voicemail says it right from the rip, is like he wants to be let out, and that's kind of what happens by the end.
Okay. So beware of what you bring up. Do not bring up what you can't not put down.
Yeah.
Or put away. Okay. And then so for Øyvind, with the effects in your film, the visuals, and I asked this of a lot of people, like, was that all practical? Was there some like digital enhancements in it, or like how did you accomplish the effects part of your film?
It's almost all practical. It's like the one moment in the hallway at the end with the spider crawling on the wall. That's a digital spider. But besides that, it's the whole transformation is done in cam.
What? Wow. Okay. So like makeup and
Yeah, just big fake
big,
spider legs, and it looked goofy on set, but yeah, with shadow and smoke, you know, it turned out better in the movie.
it looked fantastic, and it was terrifying. I
Thank you.
also don't like spiders a whole lot. Not
Hey.
as arachnophobic as I used to be. I used to be very, like, if there was a spider over there, I couldn't even go over there. Like, somebody else would have to go take care of that.
You're the
And now
target audience.
yeah. But I think I'm living in Oregon. We have a lot of spiders here. They're everywhere all the time, and sometimes they're very little and cute, and sometimes they're large and horrific. But I think the immersion therapy maybe has taken the edge off for me. So now I can actually, like, I can't touch them. I don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
But I can be in the same room with one where it's hanging out in the corner of the ceiling, and I'm okay. I don't have to smash it. So but I like how the Weaver has a kind of multiple meanings in the title. And in Norwegian, does it also have multiple meanings?
Yeah, in Norwegian it's like vevskjæring, which is means just an old lady weaving, but it's also a type of spider.
Okay.
Yeah, it's surprisingly much stuff that applies to both spiders and old ladies, like the knitting thing, and like spider web sort of patterns and stuff like that. So
It is interesting. So one thing I noticed in your film and a couple other films, we had considered for our Shorts of Madness block, because they were like a little bit gross sometimes, but very weird, and also very scary, but also funny. And in your film, there seems to be like a lot of liquids sometimes.
yeah.
Was that a conscious thing that you put in?
Yeah, like when people talk about gore, blood and gore, it's mostly blood you talk about. But I just wanted to put in like as many other body fluids as possible, like snot and saliva and everything. Yeah. We had some puke as well, but we kept that part in the transformation. Yeah. And yeah, I just like, I guess that's the, the comedy part of me, who likes just getting the reaction, because, when people watch the gross parts, they usually laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a bad kind of laughter, but yeah. And it's just, yeah. I think it's just a childish part of me who just likes getting a reaction, even in a cheap way like that. It's funny.
It sounds very Cronenberg. Like,
Yeah.
I think that the reaction, like the physical reaction people have to visual stimulus is really interesting, and I think that like any reaction is good, but I definitely know that in our in-person screenings your film got a lot of big reaction from audience with both ew and like laughter, so
Oh
it went
wow,
both ways.
that's cool.
So you
Yeah, that
did
makes me really happy.
for Michelle and Drew, so we had a debate about this. Is just like a weird technical question, but the brother in the film is Asian, correct? And is the sister is also supposed to be Asian. And Michelle, are you Asian?
The question is if I'm Asian. Yes, I am. I am part Japanese.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I feel vindicated because I was having an argument with someone about like, no, that's their brother and sister. Like she's Asian. Like she,
I'm very white passing, so I get that. I get that a lot where people are like, "You're not Asian," and you're like, "Okay, thanks for telling me that." And so I'm happy there were conversations about it. It's interesting to see people's perceptions of myself. We actually talked about that on set too. We were like, "Why you look way more than I do? I don't know what happened to me." Like something. So yeah, we're siblings.
Nice. Drew, did you write the characters to be Asian, or did you just happen to find actors that are Asian for the roles?
I didn't have any assigned kind of appearance for any of the characters. Mainly just focused on who could. For one, I was looking for someone who had like previous ASL experience, and Michelle kind of fit the bill, which partially I guess influenced that I needed to find someone that would complement her character. But if that's pretty much it. If anything, the first and foremost goal was finding someone who could lend themselves more easily or have like a fluency.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's see. Gosh, there's so much about your film, and we were talking before we started the stream too, and now I'm like trying to remember what we talked about after the stream started and what we talked about before the stream started. But just I think we were talking about the layers in both of your films. There's a lot of layers in sort of a deceptively simple premise. Can you talk about the writing process of the film a little bit, and just kind of what was the inspiration point, and then kind of how you filled it out?
Yeah, I can go first for that. Yeah, it was. I wanted to do a story. We were required by the program at SU State School of Cinema to make a first-year MFA film. This was a pitch that got floated early on because they only gave me a week, and I was anxious to get something moving. I wanted to do a story kind of in the realm of like cosmic horror or like American Gothic, or like a modern retelling of an old horror story. Robert Eggers was a huge influence conceptually, and I didn't have a lot of experience with Lovecraftian works, but I kind of fell into a pit of cosmic horror stories. And it looked like a really great challenge filmmaking wise, because I've never done a horror. There's not a lot of cosmic horror out there filmically, so it was nice to take a swing at that. It helps that Chambers' works are public domain. It made a ton of difference. Part of the philosophy of the school is making great works on an independent budget, and so it kept things a little bit cheaper. But yeah, the starting point was kind of like old American horror, like adapted to a modern setting, and the layers of it kind of ended up being like it's also a film about family bonds. It's about kind of language and the difficulty of overcoming barriers, lengths we go to connect, and if there's a fear to kind of apply to it, the most palpable one would probably be about finite experience, and the lengths that Michel's character kind of goes to get that back. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Cool. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And for you, Øyvind, just was wondering about like the point of inspiration and then how you kind of fleshed everything out from there. But I feel like we talked about that already, where you talked about the spiders and the old ladies and like your fear of both of those things, and then kind of like layering on the comedic aspects. Well, how did you find your actors? Are they people that you've worked with before, or were they just found that?
Isabel, who plays the Weaver, I've done some comedy stuff with her before. But Frederick is the main character. I'd never met before. But yeah, like I didn't intend to use Isabel right away because I just wanted to work with new people to challenge myself. But in the end, I just realized she's perfect and she's up for anything. Like I'm never afraid to ask her to do anything. Like she wanted to take everything even further. And yeah, like also even though it's like a over the top universe, they needed to like there's some subtlety there as well because they're both playing two parts in a way. Because Isabel, she's playing something that's pretending to be human. She's both an old lady, but you also see like it's an imitation of a human that's only 95% right, so something is up. But also him, Frederick, he has to. The character tries to be professional, and when the old lady starts acting weird, he can't be like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Because he's professional. So he's like, "Oh, okay," smiles and but you still have to see what he's actually feeling underneath. So like they're both lying. They both have to sell, like the lie, but you still have to see what they actually feel behind it. So, but they both did a great job. No complaints there.
They were fantastic. Isabel, the woman who plays Isabel, was just incredible. I loved her. Like she
She's
was
great.
in Norwegian, so you have the weaver, so there's like you weave a web, you weave like you knit, but in English we also have like an idiomatic expression that's like you're weaving a web of lies.
Oh yeah. I
That
didn't
is
think about that, but yeah, I did think about that. I mean,
okay. You're very smart. Is that also an expression, and that's something that you're familiar with in Norwegian? Do you have an expression that's like that as well?
yeah, like if you say that, people will know what you mean. I don't know if it's like a expression. It's probably just translating the English expression.
Okay. Because you say, what the woman is pretending to be something that's human.
Yeah,
He's having to
that's
pretend to be like caring when he's just obviously like grossed out.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that could be like a cool tagline or something. A web of life.
I feel like a tagline would give away too much, though. I like that
Yeah,
it's just
maybe.
you go in and you don't know what's happening, and then when it's happening. All right. Well, it feels like we've talked for a while. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about, or anything interesting, or anything else that you wanted to share about your film before we go?
I was wondering, budget-wise, was there anything you guys wanted to do with your movie, but money concerns or just something that you couldn't pull off technically, or yeah, something you wish you could do if you had infinite resources for the movie?
If I could do it again, I would spend money rewriting parts of the script. But anything necessarily concerning the production value of the film itself, no, I felt like we did a good job. We managed to. The film was funded through Kickstarter. We made 114% of our goal, so we felt pretty good about our expenditures. And then I have over a decade of experience with VFX and After Effects and stuff like that, which is there's a latter portion of the film that involves a lot of masking things out and creating black holes, and that I felt pretty stable that we were going to be able to pull off what we needed to.
If we did have more money and more time, though, now that I've grown a bit more and have gone through this, I wish there was a like on-set deaf interpreter or
Yes.
someone to help out a little bit with that aspect, and someone to go over the script when doing the subtitles, because it gets the meaning across, but I'll know, like, oh, I'm signing this word, and then a subtitle will be slightly different. I'm like, oh, that's in the sentence, yeah, but not yet. Or there's like little stuff like that. I think that might have been something that I would have liked, but that's in a perfect world.
I mean, this is a good time to have that conversation, I guess. If you have any notes, I can absolutely make those changes before it goes out online.
Hey, we can watch it together another time, and we'll be like, oh, that.
Gotcha, sounds good.
But I remember watching it, and it was still like, the reason why it's interpreting in sign language is it's not a 1-for-1 for English, and so there's some leeway when it comes to like, oh, what are they saying? Oh, I guess they're trying to say this and saying that. So I think it ends up working out just fine.
Yeah.
And the Kickstarter, was that mostly people you knew give money there, your friends, or just a lot of random people? I've never tried it before, but I want to try it.
It was surprisingly successful. This whole thing with the film, not only like getting into festivals, but making its money back basically was a shock. But yeah, at the very beginning, it was like very much, friends, people I'm colleagues with. But at the very end, we kind of tapped into like, HP Lovecraft subreddits and like other circles of people who really enjoy this stuff. And that like not only took us over to our goal, but like another $700 on top of that to make the film. So it was a healthy mix.
That's smart. I'll have to try that for my next movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be ready. They're a lot of work.
Yes.
But it can be really helpful if you plan it and promote it well, and it can be very, very helpful. We do one for this festival every year because there's just no way that we could fund everything that we want to do just out of our own pockets or just from ticket sales. So they're worthwhile, but it's a lot of, just be ready for a lot of work. But you'll do great because you have something to show already, so that people know that you've already been, that you've already completed a film. Like, I can make a film and it was great, so like, give me money to make another film. And if you do that, let us know. We can help. We can also help spread the word for you. And the same for you, Drew. Like, when either one of you, if you're working on a new project and want people to know about it, we're always happy to let our audience know about new cosmic horror and Lovecraftian film projects that are happening.
Thank you for
that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And on that note, we should probably wrap up, but in terms of promotion, I wanted to give you each a chance to promote yourselves and let us know where we can find you online, find out about your projects and things like that, and follow you, so that when you do launch a new campaign, people will know about it.
For me, I have Instagram and that has my links to my own YouTube and my Squarespace. So you can look me up for Michelle DeMoss, and if you want, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
You can find me on Instagram at Drew Roderick Film. The film that I'm working on is my MFA thesis. It's called A Prayer from the Black Box. Michelle's also in that, voicing a character. It's an animated short about a robot who, after the death of their builder, tries to take on their role as a town's local monk. And so it's just like a little heartwarming, not so Lovecrafty thing, but I'm pretty proud of it. And that Kickstarter will be launching at the beginning of the year.
Cool.
And yeah, I have a YouTube channel with some other horror stuff and some comedy stuff. The comedy stuff is mostly Norwegian, but yeah, the horror stuff is either without dialogue or with English subtitles. It's called Porsiba Villefilm. Porsiba Villefilm. So see you there.
Okay. Well, that's all for these guys. I'll try to put your links to your Instagrams and your YouTube channel in the show notes. I say show notes because this will be on YouTube. It's being broadcast there and it'll stay there. So I'll add these, add your links to the description there. And yeah, everyone, hopefully everyone is having a great time watching the films and finding more out about the films that we just watched with our filmmaker Q&As. And I want to thank you, Michelle, Drew, Øyvind, for being here with me. I know for Øyvind it's very early in the morning in Norway. So thank you so much for losing a little sleep and being here with us. And yeah, we hope to see more of you guys, more from you very soon. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.